Hello and welcome to the Solve Network. My name is Shane Borza and I'll be your host. Along with my co-founder Benjamin Goss, we'd like to welcome you. Our mission is to provide solutions and create a network of experts for you to learn from. Now this show is a little different than most podcasts as it is actually a live call held twice a month. If you can, please join us on the first and third Thursday of each month so you can get your questions answered live and direct from the experts themselves. If you're an expert, please contact me at shaneborza.com so you can be a part of the network. And now, here's our show. Today in the Solve Network, we have guest expert Milena Regos, who comes out of being a successful entrepreneur and also a marketing background. She walked away from a six-figure career because she was stressed and burned out and started her new company, Unhustle, so she can teach others how to learn how to enjoy their lives, continue to grow their business, but not burn out. So please join in if you would like to learn about any of those things, as Milena is the expert on Unhustle. Hi, I'm Shane Borza, a climber, creator, and coach, and I want you to build the skill of health and fitness. My new course is a priceless gift to you, and it's available exclusively on PonoQuest.com. That's P-O-N-O Quest.com. Build the Skill is a minimalistic, functional, real-world fitness program which can help you to move better and get stronger faster. I can't wait for you to check it out, and when you do, please let me know how it helps you. That's Build the Skill at PonoQuest.com. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce our guest tonight, Milena Regos, who I met through the Human Potential Coaching course that we all took. And she has this amazing new company named Unhustle, which takes people out of hustle culture. And I don't want to say any more other than that because she'll do a much better job than I will. We have become great friends. We have a lot in common. She has an excellent podcast I recommend you all listen to. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Milena and take it away.
Thank you so much, Shane, and welcome everybody. It's good to see some smiley faces from our program, and I'm looking forward to having a discussion here instead of me just talking and telling you what to do. I think we can turn into a discussion. Shane invited me a couple months ago, and considering my background in marketing, which I've spent 20 years doing, he wanted me to talk a little bit about marketing and basically how I started Unhustle during the coaching program and how can you start your thriving business considering that you have very little money and little resources and a lot of hustle. So what I decided to do to kind of keep it really, really simple and take everybody through this journey is use a metaphor of building a home and how that relates with marketing, considering we got done building our house in Baja. So I'm very, very painfully familiar with that process. You may not be, but I'll make this simple. So should I just jump into the meat of the conversation, Shane, and then open it for questions? How do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's have you do that. I like your idea of having a discussion. So whenever you feel like you're ready to have people jump in, just let us know.
All right, excellent. So the very first thing that I would consider when you're starting a new business is how are you niching down? And a lot of people don't look at that. So in the metaphor of the house is like, where are you staking your claim? Is it going to be in Alaska or is it going to be in Hawaii? What is it that you like to be in, what environment that you want to build your home? So in your case of actually building a business, it's really going to come down to your own preferences, your own values, and a unique problem that you're bringing to the world. There are too many people that actually start a business in a very, very crowded marketplace, and it's really, really hard to separate yourself with that proposition. There's thousands of coaches, let's say, out there. So what makes you different? Why would I pick you instead of the next coach? So what I did with Hustle, to give you an example in real world, is, I was doing digital marketing. I had great clients. I was very, very successful. Well, there's a ton of digital marketing agencies out there, and with the millennials coming on board, I got burned out on like updating Instagram pages and Facebook pages and getting strategies to people, even though I worked with some amazing clients in the health and wellness area. I wanted to actually be the leader in that wellness movement. And I wanted to create something that would resonate with people. And I knew from a very, very personal experience that I got burned out. I had chronic stress. It affected me personally. So instead of trying to say, oh, I'm going to stay in the digital marketing space and try to compete with the millions of digital marketing agencies out there, I wanted to do a little pivot in my life and get more grounded in my own values. And it took me some time to do that. I'm not going to lie. It took me a couple of years to do that. But by starting to pay more attention to, as we all know, our bodies and the intelligence in our bodies, and just getting really, really connected with who you are as a person, and looking at what unique problem can you solve in the world that would resonate with other people? What do you want to be known as, to like the go-to person? It's like, Shane is the one person that I know that does X. What is that one thing? What is you think that you want to be known for that no one else can take away from you? And by discovering who you are as a person and getting grounded in your values and the problem that you're solving, you're actually creating a whole unique category. And my friend, Christopher Lochhead, he's a top podcaster, 3-time CMO. He has a book actually called that is titled Niche Down. And he talks a lot about niching down in this book, and I highly recommend it. So basically, he says, instead of trying to compete in an existing market, try to create a new demand for a new market. We all know what Steve Jobs did with Apple phone. That's basically the same thing, created a category, right? So designing a category is the first thing you want to consider when you're going out there. You're not just a coach. You're not just a human potential coach. What is your unique talents and skills and strengths that you can actually really get grounded in and put that on the forefront of your website, your marketing materials, all of that. So in my case, I wanted to mobilize people and get them behind a mission and create a movement, because hustle culture is overwhelming. It's not sustainable. And I wanted to see if people would actually get behind this movement. It's still, at the end of it, it's a wellness company, right? It's an investment in our well-being, but I'm positioning it to a very unique problem that we all talk about, hear about, and live on a daily basis. So when I explain to people about Unhustle, they go, oh, that's a really cool name. How'd you come up with it? How come I didn't come up with it? This is exactly what you want your competitors to say, right? Because it's a cute name. Well, how I came up with it is through hiking in the woods for 3 days and sending my husband to Mexico so I can be by myself, and just doing a lot of meditation and just getting very grounded. And I finally said, what is my biggest problem? What is my why? If you've watched Simon Sinek, you start with your why. I just started with the why. It was like, what is my pain point? What is my biggest pain point? And I said, well, this is exactly what I'm trying to walk away from, is that hustle. And hence, Unhustle was born. So this is what I did. And if you can create a business that you're actually changing the world, and you're impacting people's lives, you can show the before and after, which in coaching is what you do, then this is your very first step in building your home, so to speak, or your business. Is like, okay, this is what I can get grounded in. These are my values. This is my problem, the unique problem that I'm solving. I can tell the world about this problem in a unique way and offer them my unique solution. The issue that I see with businesses is that a lot of them talk about the benefits and the solutions, where in reality, we want to talk about the problem. Because if you're talking about the problem, then that message would resonate faster than if you're talking about the solution. So let's check in. Does that make sense so far? I see a lot of heads nodding. All
Yes.
right. And yeah, Alexandra, thank you. Excellent. Okay, so then the second thing you do when you're building a home is you have to come up with a design, right? And you want your design to look and feel like you and to be different than everybody else in the neighborhood, and you want it to be uniquely you. And that's your personal story. So continuing from the niching down, your personal story, your brand essence, this is where you can get really grounded into the why you're starting this business. So by me asking myself why 5 times at least, I was able to discover this, passion and fire in my belly. And it goes even deeper than that. Both my parents passed away early, so they didn't get to see retirement. And so I have very emotional, personal attachment to what I'm doing to tell people about it. And I want to live an optimal life. I want to be at my best. I want my optimal well-being for me, for my husband, for my family. I want us to connect with friends. So all of these things are on a very, very personal level. That's going to give you the fire in the belly in the morning when you're like, oh, it's 5 o'clock and I got to get to work. So what are your core values? And see if you can identify core values too for your business. I have a really, really simple formula to help you with that. And it's basically, you're probably familiar with it because you've probably seen it in a lot of movies. And it goes like this. A character has a problem and meets a guide who gives him a plan and calls him to action to help him avoid failure, which ends in success. Does that sound about right for just about every single movie you've seen, right? So take this formula and use it for your business. You can use it to build your website. You could use it to build your story. You could use it to build a landing page. But basically, it's how to start. You can even use it for like social media posts. So character, you start with the problem. You start with the character. So you start with the you identify the problem. You are then the guide that comes to save the day. And you have to give them a plan with a call to action. And you have to explain to them what they're going to avoid in terms of failure and how you're going to help them achieve success. There's a book by Donald Miller, Story Brand, and he talks even more about this story formula. It's a pretty good read, so I recommend that resource in terms of developing your personal story. Without a personal story, in my opinion, you don't have a business, because people want to connect with humans on a very human level, and that personal story as to how you're helping them and what are your unique skills and strengths that you're bringing to the table to help that person is going to help you position yourself in a very different way than everybody else out there that's coaching. So you want to answer questions like who you are, what do you do, and why does it matter, right? So why did you start the business? What is so special about your company? What makes you so different? And why would people choose you instead of your competitors? Okay, that was point 2. Any questions? All right. We're going to zoom through this call really quickly, Shane. I'm going to unhustle all of us, and we're going to be able to move on with our lives much faster. But hopefully we'll have a good discussion at the end. Okay, so now you've identified your location for your home. You've come up with a design. It's very unique and it's very different and it feels authentically you. Now, the very next thing that I consider doing, keep in mind I'm coming from a digital marketing perspective, is a website. A website to me is the home. It's where you can direct everybody to. And it does not have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. And a website always evolves anyway. I know that painfully because I'm currently redoing my website. You're just never done with a website. But that's a beautiful thing about it too, with a website. I'm not talking about 50-page website. You just need one single page. Shane and I had this conversation when he was first starting. And I'm not going to tell you here, without a website, you don't have a business. But it's good to have at least one page that you can direct people to that tells your story real quickly and how you can help them. It doesn't have to be complicated. And there's so many resources out there that can help you with that. It's basically drag and drop kind of thing, like Squarespace, Wix, WordPress. There's so many, Kajabi. There's just so many resources out there. So making sure you have a good website. If you use that story that we just talked about on your website, in one page, just one page, put a photo of you so that people know who you are and how are you helping them, what's the problem, what's the exact problem that you're helping them solve, and how to do business with you. It's pretty simple. So speaking of simple, by all means, websites used to be, back in the days, they're like, oh, I'm just going to throw everything on the website and the kitchen sink. Now it's just that I've seen a big change with that. So keeping it simple, it's actually probably a really good idea. And then if you have the time, have the resources, you can always add on landing pages, more tabs, whatever, as you develop your website. The one most important thing from my perspective with your website is clarity of your message. If you confuse people, you lose them. We live in a hustle culture. I know that. So I have a 3-second rule. If you get somebody to come to your website and they can't answer what you do, how you're going to help them, and what you expect them to do in 3 seconds, you're going to lose them because they're going to be back to Google and searching for the next coach. So you confuse, you lose. Make sure your message is very clear. And I work really, really hard on that. It is not easy. It's much easier to put it longer than it is to put it shorter. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie, but there are tools out there like, the Thesaurus, there's copywriters, there are freelancers. There are people that can help you if you're completely stuck. But I think the biggest takeaway here is start writing, start clarifying your message. And you can, because of the digital aspect of things, it's nothing printed. You can always go back and change it. So people don't like to, we know this as coaches that we have X amount of brain calories in a day and decisions that we can make in a day. If you're making me go through your website to try to figure out what you do, you're making me burn too many calories. I'm probably going to get frustrated and leave. So having some clarity with your website is super, super important. So your website, the other thing you can do is obviously serves as your home. All the content that you do, all the social media posts, all the writing that you're going to do is going to link back to your website. So you can start building reputation, start building traffic. And then you can eventually put your testimonials on there, your success stories, your case studies, and all of that. So I know websites are, people get very scared and it's a big obstacle. Oh, I need to make a website. But it's so easy these days. And I would highly recommend against using stock photos on your website, just because the next coach is probably using the same exact set of stock photo. So how are you differentiating yourself? You're better off taking a somewhat professional photo of yourself. And I wouldn't even say professional. You could use your iPhone to do that. And connecting with your people. I love what Shane is doing with his website. It's simple. It's one page. But there is a big picture with a big smile of Shane on his website. And I'm like, yeah, I know who I'm talking to. It's great. So if you have a website that helps people survive and thrive, which we do from a coaching perspective, if you can provide some kind of aspirational identity, which I'm doing with Unhustle, if they can feel accepted in a tribe, or if they can feel loved, or they can achieve something, then say that on your website. Don't make me guess what you do and how you're going to help me solve. Was that a question, Ben, or no? No? Okay. So a few elements for a highly effective website. So basically, think of your website as an elevator pitch, and it's just going to be pretty quickly. People don't read, they scan. So work really hard on fewer words and fewer sentences. If you want inspiration, go to Apple right now and take a look at how few copy and sentences they have, right? So you want to have some kind of an offer above the fold, or something that explains to people, like a call to action. It inspires people, or you want to ask them to do something. And in the offer above the fold, you want to tell them like what's in it for them. How are you solving their problem? What do you do? What's in it for them? Call to action. The images that you're using. We want to see images that make me feel that you're helping other people. I want to see people being successful. I want to see people being happy from working with you. I want to see their transformation. I want to see how you help them change their lives. So images that show happy people would be great, or people that you work with, smiling people. Your promise to solve the problem is a big one. Stating what you do in the call to action. And then just bite-sized information. If you have a lot of different revenue sources, perhaps you can just do like a bite-size, just like Apple does, with a click here for more, and that takes them to a landing page, but don't clutter your homepage too much. It's the same thing as your house, right? You don't want too much clutter. You want it nice and keep and clean and functional, and just being completely you. You can always add more pages. That's the beautiful thing about digital marketing, that you can always break down the information. That's exactly what I'm working on right now. My website felt way too much, just too much information, too much copy, and I'm working on simplifying it and streamlining it and working on that user experience so I don't make and burn all these calories. All right, so that's point number 3, your website. I'm checking in with you guys. How are we doing? All right.
I'm furiously taking notes. So there'll be a lot in the email when I send out the recording.
You take the most amazing notes, Shane. I would love for you to take notes for me all the time. It's amazing. I don't know how you do that. Okay, so let's talk about, you have your home, you've picked up your design, you've decorated your home, and now it's time to have a housewarming party, and you want to invite some guests over. And so these guests are your ideal customers. Who do you want to work with? And that's in a way saying, what's your red velvet policy? Who are the people that you want to associate yourself with? Because I think too many times when you start a business and you're scrambling to make money and you have no revenue, you would probably say yes to everybody. And that is the biggest mistake that I see. Being able to say no is going to grow your business faster, because if you're just accepting anybody and everybody that comes to you, the opportunity cost and the time involved in working with these people is not going to be beneficial to you. You're better off saying no and working with the exact people who are your target audience. Why? Because they're probably hanging out with more people that are your target audience, and they're going to tell the other people. So instead of getting into a stream of people that you don't want to work with, you want to identify the exact people that resonate with you, that leave you energized at the end of the day, and that would be your ideal clients from a perspective of how you solve their problem. So basically, the best exercise you can do from that perspective is writing your avatar. And I don't know if you guys know about avatars much, not the movie Avatar, although I do like that movie. But it's one of my favorites. But okay, so you want to visualize that person. And I'm not going to talk just about demographics here. So I'll give you an example with Hustle. So with Hustle, people back in the marketing days were like, oh, how old are your ideal clients, and where do they live, and I don't know, just a bunch of demographics questions. Do they have children? What's their household income? Well, within Hustle, I'm appealing to three generations. I'm appealing to millennials, who are the most burnout generation out there. I'm appealing to people in their 40s who've probably made some money, built some businesses, are hustling and are realizing that there's more to life than just working, and maybe it's time to do something different. And I'm appealing to top-end, high-level executives who are still working but still don't have time for their families, going, what's the purpose of my life? I'm getting old and I'm still not happy and still not satisfied. So instead of looking at demographics, I'm looking at psychographics and trying to connect with them on a very emotional level and on a very pain points kind of level, by solving their specific problem of hustling. So to me, and when I started with Hustle, I thought, I'm just going to start with retreats. I know Shane keeps referring to Hustle as, it's a retreats business. And I'm like, yeah, it's changed so much since I started it, because I really, really quickly realized that it's a big problem in the US, but it's not just in the US. It's a problem in Australia. It's a problem in New Zealand. It's a problem in the UK. And with my retreats in Baja and in Tahoe, for me to impact the most lives and change the most lives, which is my mission, is to change 1 million lives. I can't just do retreats. I can't just do physical locations. So your business is going to evolve. And you don't have to beat yourself over the head like, who is my ideal avatar? But it's a really, really good exercise to sit down and actually do a little exercise and visualize that person, whether it's male, female, whatever they are, and actually come up with a name for them and a face and a picture. I actually use my real friends. I don't have it on my wall anymore. I just took them down. But I actually had real friends of mine telling me their real problems. So I'm using their real words. And this is how I create my marketing messages. So I had a millennial, I had a Gen Xer, and I had a baby boomer. And I would have these 3 conversations with them and listen to what they say and the actual words that they use. And so I now have this avatar of this woman, and her name's Abby. And Abby basically is a digital marketing person. We're hearing, I think we're hearing some audio from you, Ben.
Yeah, I had a question, but I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
Okay, go ahead.
So, since I interrupted you, what I was going to suggest, you were talking about demographics versus psychographics, and then I was just going to ask the question if you think that perhaps maybe we'll call it the old way of doing things with coming up with the demographics is really more aimed at just helping people visualize who they're dealing with. I would imagine, and you could probably comment on this, that the demographics of how people in the U.S. work versus say the U.K. You're talking about people that have an average of a week to 10 days of vacation versus people that have 7 to 8 weeks of vacation. So I would imagine that probably impacts both your messaging and the flexibility that people have to probably implement the concepts that you're talking about. So I'd be curious, I'm sure that there's some impact with regionality or nationality or, continentality, for lack of a better way to put it. So I would say that I'd like to suggest that location might have an impact, although it might not be significant. And then the second thing I wanted to ask or suggest, I hear you talking about visualizing your avatar, and I was curious as to whether or not, if you've read the book, Robert Cialdini, he wrote a book called Influence, and then his follow-up book is called Persuasion. And in his book on persuasion, he talks about how the research that they did, they discovered that people who visualized the clients they were working for, the people that they were going to actually impact, that they had a better work output than if they just sat at a conference room table. Was specifically in reference to people that worked on consulting for compensation packages and that sort of thing. And he talked about the difference, how when they came in, if there was a bullpen type of setting where they could see everybody, for some reason their output was better. And then in situations where they weren't able to see their clients, like if they were locked into a conference room, they found that their output was better if they had like 3x4 pictures of some of the employees in their work setting. So I was just wondering if maybe you could incorporate some of that stuff into what you're talking about. That's kind of side or alongside thoughts of what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, thanks for that. Both great points. So in terms of the demographics, I'm not saying completely ignore it, because to a point, you're absolutely right. It does influence. So let's say my older people who are attracted to on hustle, they would probably be spending more time on LinkedIn, where let's say the millennials would be spending more time on Instagram. But I'm talking digital marketing here. I'm not talking about purchasing, let's say, magazine ads in a certain geographic area, right? But knowing where your people hang out would probably be slightly influenced by the demographics. And then the psychographics would be more relevant to the actual messaging. So I'm not saying completely ignore it. I'm just saying have that visual in your mind. And yeah, my avatar, for example, lives in Silicon Valley, right? So there's definitely a geographic thing. Now, in terms of the UK versus the US, they are just as busy working. My actually niece, who's 25, lives in London and tells me how her friends get jobs in companies and stay till midnight in their offices to work. So they may have more days off, but they're just under the gun on producing and burning the midnight oil as we are. So for me, it's not affecting that much my messaging, because I see a lot of people connecting with me from all over the world. Now, with regards to your book and the visualizing, this is exactly the whole idea of the avatar. So you can write down on one page of your avatar who they are, what's their life like, do they have a family, what are their pain points? And by discovering their pain points, you want to talk about external problems, internal problems. Like, for example, Abby, my avatar, well, she gets up at 3 a.m. so she can get her work done before the kids wake up. Her sex life is basically non-existent. She's putting on weight because she's under a lot of stress. She goes from work to the gym and home, but it's not happy. So you're tapping into a lot of details about her personal life. And that's why I use some of my friends, because I know them really well. It doesn't have to be, so complicated, but having that image, and I highly recommend, and you're absolutely right, printing that person. And when you create messaging or you're working on your website, then you can actually speak to that person, to that specific person. Because otherwise we work in a vacuum, right? It's like, who am I talking to? Like, oh, the computer screen. I don't know who's behind that computer screen, but now I can see you guys. So it's much easier. If I had to do this presentation without looking at you, it would be much harder, right? I mean, we're humans. We like to connect with humans. So having the avatar is really critical. So that was your guest list is your avatar. So now that you have your guest list, we're moving on to, and thanks for these 2 books, Ben. I have not read them. I'd love to grab them from you when you have a chance, and I'll check them out. Okay, so now that you have your avatar, you want to think about what you're going to serve your guests, and that's your meals and drinks. And so you know your people really well now, and now it's a question of throwing this amazing party and providing them with the exact meals, snacks, and drinks that they love and would thank you for. So let's say these are your products and services. So thinking of the how now of the business. And again, that's gonna evolve for beginner coaches. You're probably gonna start with, private coaching. And then down the road, maybe you're gonna turn that into group coaching. Or maybe you're just not gonna even worry about the coaching. You're just gonna do some online courses. And starting with something simple, but showing the results from how you're helping people and how you're solving that specific problem would skyrocket your business, because you're going to have some successes to show in your marketing, your messaging, and your website. So people want to see that transformation. People want to see before and after. And when you're thinking of your programs and services, think of what's the transformation that you're offering. Are you trying to solve? I see James. James, I got a question for you. Can you jump in and tell me? You've been nodding your head a lot, so I think it's resonating with you. So jump in and tell me what problem are you solving, and what products and services are you offering?
So it's funny because this is exactly, your presentation is exactly on point. I especially like the house metaphor. That's really helpful. But one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm kind of trying to ride two horses, because my real niched down ideal client is public defenders, so lawyers who do the same day job that I do. But I haven't dialed in all my messaging for public defenders yet, and so I'm still seeking just regular professional clients, and so my messaging is a little bit diluted. So the answer for my ideal client that I'm trying to get to is the solution that I am providing, or the problem I'm solving, is people in my industry live with a tremendous amount of anxiety, overwhelm, stress, and there really isn't anyone in the marketplace that's putting words to the struggle that we have other than just stress. But I have basically kind of framed the solution. Zen Defender is the brand that I am seeking to launch. And so the solution that I'm delivering, right, is the ability to do this work with a much calmer presence and much more ease than the constant state of anxiety and tension that most people live in, and burnout as a result.
I love it. You just said your one-liner that is gonna be everything that's gonna found your business and your website. You just said it. Public defenders are overwhelmed and stressed and burned out. The defender allows you to achieve calm and balance and live happily ever after. Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent.
That's the plan.
Excellent. I mean, you can massage your words a little bit there, but
Hey, James, let me interject. You know, the concept of defender is probably broader than public defender. You might want to consider nonprofits, because my mother is in that space, and typically nonprofits are taking on a cause, so they're defending a cause. So you may find that there's another way to maybe broaden your audience but still stay niched down with that kind of concept. So sorry to interject, Milena, but I just had that thought. I'm like, oh, I don't want to forget that, because if I forget to send it to you later, if there's benefit to that, you might find you've got a broader audience, you know, looking at like people that are raising money for causes. You know, my mother does that for community colleges, you know, and that makes me think of teachers, because they don't get paid very much, and they're not necessarily in the defender space, but I'm sure you could come up with, you know, a similarly aligned concept or whatever. So I just wanted you to encourage, wanted to encourage you that defender doesn't necessarily have to mean legal defense. You know, there's all sorts of causes and things to defend, whether it's, you know, animals or trees, you know, for obvious things that, you know, or, you know, go hug a tree or kiss a whale, right? So, I mean, I'm being a little bit, you know, tongue in cheek, but I think you know what I mean. So sorry to interrupt. I just didn't want to lose that thought.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super helpful. Thank you, Ben.
so James, I have a question. Then how are you going to solve their problem? I understand what you're trying to do in terms of the transformation, but how are you going to do it?
So part of the solving the problem is teaching them how their nervous system works, because one of the things that they don't understand is they just think that, oh, I have stress, and to undo my stress, I need to just go exercise or go relax or whatever. And so they don't actually understand the nature of the fight or flight response and how they're essentially living in that all day long. Every time that they go to court, they're essentially going to war, they're going to battle. And so part of it is educating them on the hazards of their work that they don't realize are hazards. And then once they're able to see the hazards for what they are, then we can deploy mitigation strategies that will offset these workplace hazards, as well as delivering coaching to them to help them shift their mindset, because they also believe that they have a high degree of control about what is happening in a realm in which they actually don't have control. So part of it is shifting their mindset as well.
Excellent. I like it. And I really like the way you described it. You started with the problem. You didn't start with, well, the defender is going to help public defenders go from stress to, right? So you started with the character and you positioned the defender as the guide. And this is how we're going to help you. So I like it. Yeah, good. I can't wait to see your business. Excellent.
Thank you for the feedback. That's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so these are our products that wow. So you want to solve a specific problem. So in James' case, it's a specific problem with a specific avatar, and show the transformation. You're going to go from stressed out, overwhelmed, burnout to calm and ease and happy, and you're going to be able to sleep well. And the more specific you get into that problem solution, I think the more it's going to resonate with people, because I think we tend to generalize too much and not differentiate enough. So get grounded into what is your difference and how are you implementing that difference. Because if you're looking to just relieve stress, there's probably 10,000 coaches out there already that are like, we can help you relieve stress, right? But in your case, it's more specific with the audience that you want to work with. And you speak the language, because did you just say that you've lived it yourself? Yeah. So you know exactly what they're going through. Yeah. When I worked, as a ski resort marketer for 10 years, and then started my own digital marketing agency after that. And I connected really well with ski resort marketers because I could speak their language. I knew exactly what they're going through. I'm like, I know December is your busiest month. I know what you're going through when it doesn't snow outside. I mean, I've done it for 10 years. So speaking their language and knowing how they feel is going to help you a lot with that messaging. Now, I don't know about the nonprofit and the teachers that Ben suggested. I think it's a great idea to look into maybe expanding down the road. But I would try to niche down and start in the area that you know. And after you get successful, you can say, okay, well, I can add this area or I can add this area. I think if you open yourself too much up front, you may dilute your message. Because I don't think you can speak to the teacher at the same time and to the nonprofit and to the public defender on that 10, 20 sentences that you have on your homepage. And I think it's a great idea, Ben. I'm just because we don't have that much money and resources, and we're working with very limited resources. We need to really niche down and really get grounded into the how are you different and how are you solving my problem, not like the three people behind me.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Hi, I'm Shane Borza, your content creator coach. I have 2 books on filmmaking, Film Notes, where you learn to write, direct, and produce, and the Film Notes Workbook, where you can learn checklists and paperwork to streamline creating your content. Available at shaneborza.com. I also have filmmaker resources like the Paperwork Bundle with over 300 documents, the Sound Effects Bundle with almost 3,000 files, and the Music Bundle featuring 900 tracks of all genres. Want to build your professional credits? Become an associate producer and get listed on IMDb. Let me help you get your art out into the world.
Scene 1, Apple, take 1.
We hope you enjoyed this episode featuring Milena Regos, who is teaching us all how to conduct more business while unhustling. Next week, we'll have a bonus episode with an extended discussion and Q&A with Milena, so please tune in next week for more unhustling. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Solve Network. As a reminder, these calls are held live on the first and third Thursday of each month. If you'd like to join us as either a listener or guest expert, please contact me at shaneborza.com. On behalf of my co-founder, Benjamin Goss, we're glad you are a part of the network and hope you are finding solutions. If you need solutions, please reach out.